Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Madeline and I create knitting content here on YouTube. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I made this cowl out of loop yarn. So first I'm going to show you down at the bottom how I joined this yarn in the round, because this piece is worked in the round. There are no seams. And then there are just 2 repeat rounds that we repeat over and over again to create this pattern, where it's essentially kind of like holes or yarn overs if we're comparing this to knitting, and then decreases along this inner edge. So this pattern takes advantage of the fact that each one of the little loops can be cut open to create a strand of yarn. So I'm going to take advantage of that and show you how I use it to make this pattern. I hope you enjoy this tutorial. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down below. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Starting off with the yarn I'm using Bernat Blank Ease, and this one is jumbo yarn, so it's a number 7. It comes with 5 loops for every 4 inches. I get 18 yards on each thing of yarn, and then this colorway is dark gray. The next thing I need is just a pair of scissors, and that's because this pattern requires us to open up some of the loops. And then lastly, this is just something I found is helpful because this pattern is worked in the round. It's hard to find something to use as kind of like a stitch marker to mark the beginning of every round, but I found that a little hair clip works pretty well. Also, another thing, if you don't have a hair clip that you could use, is just like a sandwich, sorry, not a sandwich bag, a chip bag closer, those little clips. That would work just as well. So now let's get started. So when I open up my yarn, the first thing I do is I cut open the first 3 loops just by going right into the center, and then you can cut them open. This way I have a tail to weave in at the end, and it makes the project look a lot cleaner. So now that I've done that, you really don't need this tail until the very end of the project. What I want to do is I want to count out 48 loops, and I just want to arrange them in a circle. So let me just get a bunch of my yarn here. I start with my tail, which is just the part we just cut, up in the right-hand corner. And I just like to lay all my loops so they're all facing outwards. And now I'm just going to create a circle that has a total of 48 loops in it. Okay, so right up here is where my 48 loops end. So now I'm going to take the loops that happen after the 48 one and lay them right on top of where the circle begins. So basically, the first stitch of the circle, I now have a second loop right behind it. And this is where I like to take my little clip and just attach those 2 together. Now I'm just going to grab into both of those loops and just turn it up towards myself so it's facing me. Now once I've picked up my circle, I again have the little clip I'm using to mark my beginning of the round, and then I have my 48 stitches in this circle, and then I have the working yarn coming off the back here. So this whole first round I want to work in just regular knit stitches. So the way I do that is I take these working yarn loops and I'm going to thread each one of these through a new one around this loop. So first, just starting off with the first one in my circle, I take the first loop from my working yarn, put it behind the original loop, and then pull it through the center. Now I move on to the second loop from that original circle, get the second loop from my working yarn, and pull that one through. And I'm going to continue going all the way around this circle. I just finished going around that whole first round, and on the second round I'm going to begin the pattern. So right after my little stitch marker, I'm going to take the first 3 loops, I'm going to pick the center loop, take the first loop and put it behind it, and then take the third loop and put it behind both of those. And I just keep them arranged so that all the loops line up then. And I'm going to take the next available one for my working yarn and thread it through all three of those. So you can think about that as we just decrease 2 stitches. And now at this point too, I also like to move my stitch marker up a row so that I keep on following along. Now I'm going to take the next loop on the working yarn and I'm going to cut it open. And I'm just going to leave that as the bar. Once I cut that one open, I'm going to take the next 3 loops that are part of my actual work. Again, I'm going to take the second one, put the first one behind it, and then take the third one and put it behind both of those. Then I'm going to thread the next available one for my working yarn and pull that through. And you want to pull it only enough that the loop comes through. You want to leave this bar in between the two. So let me move that down so it's a little easier to see. So basically what I have so far is I have my first loop that I put through 3 of the stitches. I have my bar, and now I have my second loop that I put through 3 of the stitches. Now again, I'm going to cut another one from my working yarn. I'm going to take the next 3 and arrange them in the same fashion. Take the next loop from my working yarn and pull it through. And I'm going to continue doing this, alternating between cutting a loop and then putting 3 together all the way around, and I'll catch back up with you once I'm back at my marker. I just did 1 full round and I finished with a put 3 together. So the last thing I'm going to do for this round is I'm going to cut open the next loop that I would have on my working yarn. And now I basically want that extra bar to happen right before where I start my next round. So for this next round, we need to increase again, because basically each one of these put 3 togethers, we decrease 2 stitches. So we need to increase 2 stitches now for each one of those. The first thing I'm going to do on my next round, or round 3, is I'm going to take the next loop on my working yarn that happens right after the one I just cut, and I'm going to put it through the first one on my work. Then I'm going to take the next 2 loops on my working yarn and I'm going to put them underneath the bar. And I just leave those there. Take the next loop from my working yarn, put it through the next set of 3 stitches, then take the next 2 loops from my working yarn and put it underneath the bar. So now I'm going to continue doing this one all the way around, where first I just take the next loop on my working yarn, put it through the regular loop, then take the next 2 loops on my working yarn and put it under the bar. Again on this round, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my next loop of the working yarn through that 3 stitches that we turned into 1, and then I'm going to take the next 2 stitches on my working yarn and put them under that final bar. But now that I'm back at the beginning of the round, I want to move up my stitch marker. So I'm just going to take this clip, and where it goes is it goes in the middle of those 2 stitches we just put underneath the bar. So basically I have 1 stitch on each side. Now I'm ready to begin the next round. And the next round is just a repeat of round 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do that combining 3 stitches. So I'm going to take the second loop, put it in front, first loop behind it, and then third loop behind both of those. Take the next one from my working yarn and put it through all three. Then I'm going to cut open the next one on my working yarn. Now again, I'm going to continue alternating between those two of combining the 3 stitches and then creating 1 bar. I'm going to finish off opening up that last stitch, and now I'm going to work round 3 again. So round 3 was where we take the next loop on the working yarn, put that through, and then take the following 2 loops and put them underneath the bar. And I'm going to continue doing this all the way across the round. And now that we've started going a little bit, you can see the pattern begin to form. So now I'm going to continue repeating rows 2 and 3. To cast off, I'm going to go around one entire round, just taking my working yarn loops and pulling them through the loops that I already have from finishing round 3. And I'm not doing anything special here, just pulling them directly through. Once I finish going all the way around that round, I'm going to cut my yarn, and I'm just going to leave a couple loops there at the end. And now right after my beginning of the round marker, the final step is going to be to take the first loop and put it up over the second loop and pull the second loop through. Now I'm going to take the new first one, put it over the second, pull the second up and through, and I'm going to continue doing this all the way around that round. Once I'm back at the beginning of the round and I don't have any more stitches to work in, take off my beginning of the round marker, and now I'm just going to open up each one of these that I'd left in my tail. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to thread this tail through that last loop, and now I'm going to weave in this tail. So I like to try and close up. See how it's a little uneven there, just from the beginning of the round? I'm going to try and close that up, so I'm going to take my tail, go that way a little bit. So that just evened that out. And now I'm probably going to go down into my work a little bit further. Cut that once you're done weaving it in. And now I'm going to go back and weave in my cast on edge. Just wove in my cast on edge as well, so now I'm going to cut that. Here's the finished cowl. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel. Thanks for watching.